This video is to the corrupt public officials of the state of Florida who have forced me to do their job. I'm here to explain to you why it's taken me more than 3.5 years to do your job. The job that you get paid to do with my taxes and the public's taxes. The job that you promised to do. The job that you're supposed to do to protect society and to protect me, the homeowner or the person who lives here, from harm, from invasion, from being rousted out of my home, from being ganged up on, from being robbed, and from being vilified by people like you. First of all, I had to recover enough from my injuries so that I could be self-supporting. I had to experiment with different ways to earn money with a broken body. Some of them were dead ends. It takes me a lot longer to complete the same tasks that it would have taken me before I was attacked, ganged up on, and maimed by the two thugs that you support, protect, defend, the ones that you protect their guilt at my expense. I've also had to learn to build websites with a broken body and a reduced income and all these disadvantages. I've had to learn to do these videos. I've had to learn to do a lot of other things. I've had to learn to operate my broken body. I wasn't given an instruction manual, so I've had to figure out what I can do and what I can't do. I've had to think out and figure out how to get around a corrupt state that has hundreds of millions and literally billions of dollars aligned against me and my efforts to go after justice and to reestablish the rule of law in this case. You have the guns, the jails, you've got the prosecutors who don't necessarily prosecute crime, and I have to go up against all of this with my broken body and my broken finances because I don't have the ability to earn what I would normally earn. This takes time. I had to figure out how to get around you all. And this video is one of those ways. I had to adapt to being a semi-cripple. It restricted my ability to earn income. I had to figure out how to make a living and not end up on food stamps or welfare or SSI or any of these sort of things. I didn't want the corrosive effects those things have on a man's confidence and ability to make his way in the world and everything. The first couple of years, I was in far too much pain and far too angry and embittered to be able to speak in such a calm manner about basically having my future taken from me and being physically destroyed and having my income very radically restricted by my lack of an ability to do what I used to do. Being semi-crippled, I lost the ability to be a machine operator in a high-velocity plant. You've got to be in good shape to do that. These machines are as big as houses. There's a lot of weight involved with some of the cases that they produce, and I had to go through some physical therapy. I had to learn to build websites. That took me time. I had to experiment with different ways to make money with this new broken body of mine, and there were some dead ends. I didn't get to just focus on this effort. There are a lot of things that had to happen simultaneously. I also have to prepare for the fact that I may never ever be able to afford a house again. And I don't want to end up on the street. Right now I barter for where I live. So I have to concern myself not just with my broken body, but with a restricted income. I have to do things to try and stay off the street. I have to be wary of the fact that my two attackers have been released back into my neighborhood. Okay, so there are things that I've had to do to try to prevent the one that said he was going to come back and deal with me. That costs me a little bit of time and focus. So there's a lot of things that have to happen simultaneously. I had to think out how to fight back and how to get justice, even though I have a corrupt state prosecutorial system or prosecutors that are shielding my attackers. And this takes time, and everything takes me longer. I have to take pain breaks between my accounts. There's equipment breakdowns, van breakdowns, computer breakdowns. When you don't have money, you're at the mercy of older equipment, and everything I have is old, including myself, unfortunately. With some perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, for better or for worse, but hopefully for justice, not merely for myself, but for society in general. Fears to do your job is because I had to do it while I had a broken body. I had to do it while you obstructed justice and emboldened my attackers. I had to do it while they were free. I also had to deal with my own broken body. I had to deal with being financially broke as a result of it. I was actually worn down financially before, but that just exasperated or complicated my ability to come out of financial problems. I have an old van that periodically broke down, and most of the time I had to fix it myself. I don't have mega tools, so it takes me longer. I'm very mechanically inclined, but nevertheless, it does take me longer than a professional shop. My laptop computer, which has allowed me to launch this effort at seeking justice and vengeance, it was 6 to 7 years old, and it was breaking down on a regular basis. That slowed me down. Then I had to think out how to approach doing all of this. I had to figure out how to make a living with a broken body. That produced a few dead ends and wasted time so that I didn't become a ward of the state. Then I had the problem of having to train myself to build the website, to build videos, to do the edit work. I had to investigate. In other words, since you were not willing to investigate, I had to do it. I had to create reports. I had to collect all of them and edit them and make them presentable to the public. There are a lot of things that had to take place and that I had to do without the benefits of staff that you have. I also had to work and earn income so that I could pay the taxes that pay your salary, even though I'm the one doing your job. And because I don't have all the state-sponsored tools and people to help me do your job, it has taken me over 3.5 years to do your job. And I've had to do it with a broken body, the broken body that was delivered to me by your two thugs, the same ones who have been emboldened to threaten me with lawsuits after invading my home, after robbing me, torturing me, maiming me. You have put them in a position that they are so confident that they feel they can bully me, they case me, they keep me under surveillance, sometimes almost daily, okay? And that's thanks to you. Thanks to you, crime apparently pays. Some of you folks out there in YouTube land may be wondering, why did it take this guy 3.5 years to come back for justice and vengeance? Well, the real question isn't why did it take me 3.5 years to come back for justice. The real question is, why did it take me 3.5 years to do your job, Mr. Prosecutor? Because that's in effect what I'm doing. If you'd done your job in the first place, this all would have been resolved approximately 3 years ago. But I had to learn how to do your job, and I had to do your job in spite of the fact that you tried to prevent me from doing your job. That's why I have constructed the scenario where I make the phrase, go ahead and arrest me, because then you're forced to confront the very evidence, my testimony, that you have obstructed for 3.5 years. So yes, it took me 3.5 years to do your job, which you didn't even bother to do, and it never would have been done. It could have been 350 years, and you wouldn't have done it. I've been forsaken by the justice system of the state of Florida. I've been left at the mercy of my two attackers, while I have been physically broken by them, and so I'm less able to defend myself. I have also lost a lot of my future. The days of me being a machine operator, operating machineries as big as houses with multiple robotic interfaces, computer interfaces, lasers, various types of motors and other pieces of machinery plugged into these conglomerations of giant machines, those days are over. I used to work 12-hour shifts in a high-velocity plant. That's what I've been trained for, and that's what I had hoped to go back to. But I won't be doing that. I won't be the long-distance runner that I've been for most of my life. That's over. I invented what you might call, or I like to call, lunning, limping and running. But that doesn't quite work, okay? There's a lot of things I've tried to do to adapt to my new semi-crippled state. I'm out there doing what I did 30 years ago when I first got started. I'm mowing lawns. And the reason why is I can still follow a mower. I have great difficulty getting it into my van, but I can follow it. It's self-propelled. I can take pain breaks in between each lawn. This allows me to do that, and it keeps me from having to answer to a social worker or having to go and get food stamps. I've even taken to bartering for a half to two-thirds of my food. I do yard work for a church that gives out food, and that lessens my food bill. I even barter for where I live. So I've done everything I can in my workaholic spirit that I've basically had my entire life to stay in motion. But being semi-crippled has also semi-crippled my ability to earn income. I'm also training myself to build websites online, and I'm hoping to monetize a couple of them and make my living in that way so that my physical brokenness won't have such a huge impact on my ability to earn income. As a consequence of being vilified by the state of Florida, as a consequence for the state of Florida protecting, defending, and releasing the two men who invaded my home, robbed me, ganged up on me, attacked me, beat me, tortured me, maimed me. As a consequence to all of this, I've had to build a new career for myself, the career of seeking out justice and vengeance. I've had to learn legalese, or whatever you want to call it. I've had to learn to make my living as a semi-cripple. So I've had to do the state's job without pay. And I've had to do this through my physical injuries, through the things that it does to my emotions. It thoroughly ticks me off. I guess that'd be a discreet way to put it. I ought to be billing you for a hell of a lot of money for doing your job. In other words, I get taxed, I pay your salary, and then I'm also forced to do your job. I've got to go now. I've got a job to do. Yours. As I have been doing for the last 3.5 years. Anyway, I've got to get back to my other job. And that's the job of doing the job that you refuse to do, fighting for justice. In other words, my job is to bring you, Mr. Corrupt Prosecutor, to justice. I've got to go now. I've got a job to do. Yours.